Hi, welcome to part 2 of Livestream Lunch, where we give you quick tips on how to master working from home with Microsoft Teams. I'm Yasmin Abdelhadi, Product Marketing Manager at Microsoft Canada. The next thing you want to do is really build community with all of your other remote peers, because working from home might feel or can honestly feel a little bit isolated at first. So creating ways to build rapport with your team can really help keep the energy and the excitement going. So let's take a look at some tips you can do. One way to do that is to think about mimicking what you do when you go to the office. You walk down the hall, you say, hey, good morning, how are you today? Maybe go grab some coffee with your team, you catch up, talk about children's soccer game or any sports event, whatever that looks like. You have some hallway conversations, but really it's all about the informal type of gathering. Do that in Teams. Send good morning chats in Teams and check up on how is everyone doing and share some insights on what's going on with you. In our team, we set up some time to start the day with our coffee and spend 5 minutes with each other with video on. Everyone is just talking and catching up with one another, and maybe a couple of days a week, sorry. If you see a colleague online that you don't normally chat with, engage in a virtual hallway conversation, like something like, hey, John, how is it going? How are you doing? Or whatever that looks like to you, as if you're having a hallway conversation. It really does help maintain that connection with your peers when you're unable to simply walk down the hall. And then make it fun, Working from home could be a little stressful, so add memes or GIFs to your conversations, just something to light up the conversation. Second, and I love this idea, establish a remote worker club. This could be in your own team, like a channel within your own team's team. You can create a water cooler channel where people can just share anything, sharing recipes, book clubs, just fun information. You can even have a question about working from home. Other organizations have established like a Yammer group, so it's on the broader scale and not just on your work team, because remember, this work from home scenario could be new to a lot of people in the organization. So you can create a Yammer group or a public team site to share questions and insights on remote working so everyone could benefit. Be a champion. We all know how productive and successful peer champions can be, so maybe become that remote worker champion for your own group. Gather some ideas and then represent those back into the Yammer group or the public team. Now, if you're a manager, now working from home for the rest of your working group can really be an adjustment for both you and your team. So take time to build a team work environment online so everyone can really help your users to feel supported while they maintain their productivity. So let's take a look as a team leader or a manager, some of these things you can do. And if you're not a team leader or a manager, maybe take some of these tips back to your manager. So the first one you want to do is to build a network. Set up a team for your team. Go to Microsoft Teams, set up a team. We love the word teams, apparently. Anyhow, create a set of channels we talked about, like the water cooler channel to keep it fun, but obviously you also want specific channels for work. And maybe today you're doing some one-on-ones and weekly team meetings, but this is very important. Be more mindful in making your one-on-ones and teams meetings a priority, because it's kind of the safe space for your team to get and stay connected. And again, you just can't walk down the hall and check up on them and know if someone is having a bad day. So really make those one-on-ones and team meetings a priority and establish cadence. If it's not there already, so again, you want to make sure you make people feel that they're in normal work mode. And then create structure for your meetings. If you're used to in-person meetings when you're in the office, all gathered in a conference room, Sometimes the agenda is a little bit loose and you spend the first 5 minutes just checking up on everyone. And then everyone is grabbing water or coffee from the kitchen. So here, you really want to minimize all those distractions and create a formal agenda. Make sure you're going around the table and giving everyone an opportunity to speak up. Using the video is a great way to do so because everyone gets to see everyone. And also, if you typically hold long meetings, typically longer than an hour or 45 minutes even, people can get distracted and start checking emails or multitasking. And you can see what they're doing, so make sure you're scheduling some breaks and then let them know that, hey, we're going to take 5 minutes to just check on our email or a quick bio break, and then we'll come back. So it's really about being more fluid on your work and how you do work. And then really learn together. This is a change for everyone, and everyone is involved. We say embrace the distractions. No one would ever be able to make their dog not bark exactly when they need to, or child talks in an important meeting. It's really about embracing those distractions because it's no longer about work-life balance, like some hours are work and some hours are at home. It's now work-life integration, and it's just the reality. We're not separate human beings from our work and our home environments anymore. We're one human being that needs to balance both, so just embrace the distractions. Be open on some flex time. So people may say, if you know your kids is acting up or my dog is barking, I will need to step away for like a couple of minutes during the day. So just be open about that because it allows people to be more productive as they feel a little bit better about managing work and home life together. And really make sure you're encouraging your team to stay connected with one another. All those points we talked about earlier are all great points to encourage your team to stay connected through the hallway conversations, coffee chats, and things like that. And then make it easy as possible for your team to stay connected in Teams. Make sure that all these files that maybe you have on your desktop or something that you're just saving on your PC, make sure they're posted in a shared location in SharePoint or OneDrive that you're sharing out with everyone, either those apps directly or through Teams so people can have access to them. Make sure inside Teams you're pinning important apps and resources to top of your channels so people have quick access to the files and resources they need. And as I mentioned earlier, encourage people to communicate with one another. Maybe use channel conversations to do so, because it's not just one-on-one. Everyone feels like they are a part of the conversation. Establish norms or communication norms, I would say. This is a really big one. And as you're getting used to working from home, when you can't just walk down the hall and start talking to someone, there are managers that would send an email and then they send a chat on Teams, and then 10 minutes later they send another email saying, hey, did you get the chat I've just sent you on Teams? And that happens because you can't see them and you don't know if they're receiving the information. So set some boundaries, trust your employees, limit how much you're communicating to them about the same thing, and give them time to respond. Maybe set expectations with your team in your team meeting. Say, look, this is an adjustment. Say within 4 hours or 1 business day or whatever time frame that you'd like them to respond in. Otherwise, I'll ping you to make sure you've received the message. Because you really don't want every chat to be marked as important, and really be mindful how often you communicate out to your team and give everyone the opportunity to respond, especially if you're sending, let's say, group chat. If only one person responds, make sure you're tagging other people and make sure you're giving them an opportunity to get their voice heard. Because again, you're not sitting in the same physical table where you can just make eye contact and see each other. So really make sure you're giving everyone the opportunity to contribute to the conversation. And then your group in your teams, use the general channel. Generally, as best practice, limiting the general channel to the owners. If you're the owner of your team, Just limit the general channel for announcements in the Teams lead or Teams manager. This is where you can just post things like communication expectations, like weekly team meetings or any announcements about work from home scenarios. And then really encourage inclusive environment. So as for feedback, encourage people to ask questions, encourage them to speak up. Something like, we know this is a big transition for you. Let us know what you think or how is it going. If you're struggling with something, let us know. We're all here to work on this together. In your team meeting, go around the table. And again, it's not just work stuff. Bring on those watching whatever favorite TV show or who or how is the weather. Just really encourage the kind of general conversation. It really keeps the workflow going for people to stay connected. And really be mindful of people's schedules. Again, when people work from home, they tend to at least initially be online as soon as sun rises, and then they're still online when sun sets. So just be mindful of schedules and encourage people to maintain their normal workflow. Okay, that was quite a few tips on how to be successful at working from home with Teams. If you're new to Teams or want to try out Teams, here are the links you can go to for a quick jump start. Thank you.